Round Ball Rock Podcast 250th episode, starring Dave Schilling, Gerald, the human lowlight reel Wilkins, Johnny Green, Joey Devine, Cedric Maxwell, Percy Hawkins, Johnny Newman, Sean Keane, Tyrus Thomas, 250th all-time in blogs, Patreons, Andrew Keefe, thank you Andrew, Will Eusebio, thank you Will, John Williams, thank you John, and thank you for all the wonderful soundtrack work. Musical guest, Toto, and now the temporary host of Round Ball Rock, Joey Devine.
Hi, it's me, Joey Devine, your temporary host of the Round Ball Rock podcast, and right off the bat, let me just say, I hope you had a magical holiday season, and I hope you are getting ready for New Year's, baby. Let's spend too much money on drinks! Sean, what are you doing this New Year's?
So I'm gonna be up in San Francisco. I'm working at Cobb's Comedy Club with some good friends, and then on New Year's Eve only, they're putting me up at a hotel in Ghirardelli Square. So I think
Gonna have a chocolate sundae.
Oh no! Well, I mean, I guess I could do that. I think I'm gonna do the polar bear plunge in Aquatic Park.
Ooh!
It's gonna be very cold, but it seems like if I'm actually at a polar bear plunge, I should do the I'm old enough now that I should be with other old men.
I don't know, Sean.
Doing
I
old
don't think
band
you need
stuff,
to do
right?
this. Your
Come
face
on,
is
man.
already pretty red on a normal basis.
Yeah, did I wake up red?
I don't know.
This might be a bad skincare decision, Joey. But how good is that 7:45 a.m. chocolate sundae gonna taste after that,
Fair
Joey?
Fair point.
And then, are you making any New Year's resolutions, Joey?
Only one.
What's that?
I'm gonna audit each and every thing that happens to me constantly.
I love it. I'm gonna try to practice more Spanish, and I would like to learn how to play 2 chords on the guitar.
Oh, I can actually teach you how to play 2 chords. That's very easy.
Yeah, that's all I need. I just need enough to play one Round Ball Rock song live.
Oh no!
Whatever the easiest one would be, because I have been invited to perform at halftime of a Fort Wayne Mad Ants game.
Are you going to wear a wig like Jason Gallagher?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, we joke about the Fort Wayne Mad Ants. If anyone knows them, I am willing to perform any of these songs at halftime, except probably I can't pull off Slovenian Rhapsodončić.
Okay.
I don't think I can do that live.
We're talking too long because this episode is it's a real year-ender, time-wise. I hope you guys are ready to, this episode is as long as The Irishman.
Don't listen to it at 1.5 speed, though.
And do not listen to it as a mini-series. It's gonna ruin my life.
Also, we're digitally aging ourselves in this one. I don't know why, but, we just felt like we needed to.
So first, right off the top, business at Round Rock Pod on Twitter, roundrockpod@gmail.com.
Yep.
On email, 5-star reviews on iTunes, patreon.com/roundrockpod. A lot of great stuff. And that's it. Let's get to reader mail.
Hell yeah.
This is Round Ball Rock Reader Mail. Communications from listeners. Why do we call it Reader Mail? It is confusing for robots.
All right, our question, and it's the only thing we're going to do today, is our friend, the man who makes the funniest GIFs of for the podcast on Twitter, at SilkyJohnson23, Mr. Diabolical Lover, had a question for us. Sean, he says, growing up in Kentucky, when and where I did, there wasn't an NBA team close. UK basketball, that's the University of Kentucky basketball program, home of Adolph Rupp, who is the basketball Hitler of our country. UK basketball was and is the only show in town. I want to find an NBA team to root for since I've gotten into it, which, by the way, he says through listening to our podcast. I don't know why you would listen to this podcast if you didn't like the NBA, but if you do, thank you very much. That's incredible. But I don't know what team to pick. My only requirements, not the Pacers, because fuck them and fuck Larry Bird. And I'd like them to have a UK alumni on the team if possible. So, Sean, we got this question.
We did.
Like 2 months ago, we got this question. And we've batted back and forth how to answer it.
Right.
And we decided that we weren't actually qualified to answer
We're not
this question.
smart enough.
No, we could tell you about which Tillman Fertitta restaurant to go to, but we cannot tell you which basketball team to root for.
We need people that know more about basketball and more about humanity.
Yeah. So we brought in 2 guests, and we're going to answer this question today for our friend Silky Johnson. And any of you listening that don't know what team to root for, should we call him right now?
Let's do it.
All right. We're calling from Yahoo's Ball Don't Lie and the second arrangement on Substack, which if you're not subscribed to, what is wrong with you? You got to go behind those box scores. We've got Mr. Kelly Dwyer. And from Yahoo Sports Canada and Vice, and more importantly, from the Substack Basketball Feelings and the Locked On Raptors podcast, we have summer vacation expert and feelings expert, Katie Heindl. Let's call him up right now.
Now, it's time for Joey and Sean to call 2 of their friends. You see, their brains have been poisoned by rooting for the Golden State Warriors their whole lives. So they have no idea how to pick a team that isn't either the worst team ever or the best team ever. That's right. No middle ground allowed for our sweet idiots. Luckily, they know a master of vacations and feelings named Katie, and a master of guitar licks and box scores named Kelly, who are not fans of a team who play basketball in an arena so opulent it might as well have Nero playing fiddle outside of it while it burns to the ground. So without further ado, here are 2 very smart people helping 2 very dumb people. Remember, after this episode, subscribe to their newsletters. They are very good.
All right. To answer our friend Silky Johnson's question for who he should be rooting for, I'll read it one more time for our friends. We've brought in a couple of good friends of ours. Our basketball feelings correspondent, host? You're not a host. You're the writer of the Basketball Feelings newsletter. You've written for Vice. You've appeared on Locked On Raptors. Here is our great friend, Katie Heindl. Katie, how are you?
I'm on the up and up. I'm recovering.
I believe it.
From a Raptors championship? Is that what you're recovering from?
No, from a 4-day flu.
It is kind of amazing that Katie is the correspondent for both summer vacations and human emotions.
Yeah, it's true.
Yes.
I accept.
And on the other side of the spectrum, the other basketball Substack I love to read every day. We have someone who knows more about basketball than I will ever know. And he also knows more about playing the guitar. We've got our friend KD on Hoops, Kelly Dwyer. Kelly, how are you? Yes.
Oh, I was in G the whole time. I just figured that out. Hey guys, thanks for having me on.
So just so you guys know, I'm going to read our friend Silky Johnson's question one more time.
Silky JJ.
Okay, Silky.
From the UK.
Growing up in Kentucky, when and where I did, there wasn't an NBA team close. UK basketball was and is the only show in town. I want to find an NBA team to root for since I've gotten into it, but don't know who to pick. Only requirements? Not the Pacers because fuck them and Larry Bird. And I'd like to have a UK alumni on the team, if possible. And they said, cut this down for brevity however you'd like, but I've actually made it longer, and you'll have to figure out where. So I figure, since the two of you are experts, we'll go through each team. Sean will tell us whether there's a University of Kentucky grad on it, or just straight alumni. And then we'll discuss why you would want to be a fan of the Atlanta Hawks. So, I mean, we're starting with Atlanta. Jesus. Why you'd be a fan of the team. All right, so let's start off with the Atlanta Hawks. Sean, are there any UK grads on the Atlanta Hawks?
There are not. There are 0 on the team right now. I'm not sure where Sir Foster went to school.
Oh, the organ player?
Yeah, the organ player. I'm not sure. Grant Hill went to Duke, and their co-owner is maybe not a sex creep, but is sex creep adjacent. He's good friends with Jeffrey Epstein and business partners.
But Jamie Gertz, their other co-owner, did she go to the University of Kentucky?
She did not. She did not.
Okay, fair enough.
And in honor of Jamie Gertz, there are less than 0 University of Kentucky Wildcats on this roster.
All right. So let's start with Mr. Dwyer. Kelly, for basketball reasons, why would one want to become a fan of the Atlanta Hawks in 2019?
Oh, no. Basketball reasons are out.
Okay, good.
They're not. Jamie Gertz was in Square Pegs.
Uh-huh.
They had a theme song by the Waitresses. Fantastic song.
The Waitresses have the best Christmas song. Christmas
They
rapping.
do.
Yeah.
They really do. First time I heard a Waitresses song was in a beer bus outside Chicago Stadium with my dad, and I was like, I remember this song from the 80s. Who is this? And as he and several other people drank cans of keg beer outside of a Bulls playoff game in 1994, he was like, the Waitresses. Patty Donahue. She's dead now. But Jamie Gertz is the co-host of this Hawks team. She's on all the in-arena features in between timeouts. And are we supposed to know who is Kentucky's natural enemy? Like, if there are Duke players
Louisville?
on here?
Oh,
I believe it's Louisville.
I would
is
think
their
it
most
was.
natural enemy.
I think it would be the Feds because they're constantly trying to catch Calipari, right?
I've lived in Indiana for 15 years now. I haven't listened to any of the Kentucky jokes they make because they're all coming from someone who lives in Indiana. So how am I supposed to take that seriously? The Hawks start 14 rookies at a time, or at least they used to, which is right up John Calipari's ankle. So that's why he could root for the Hawks.
I would like to argue. I personally, if I lived in Indiana, I don't want to root for a basketball team that has Jabari Parker on it. But I do want to root for a basketball team that has Vince Carter on it. If that makes sense. All right. Katie Heindl, tell us about emotionally, why should we root for the Atlanta Hawks?
No University of Kentucky graduates, but it seems like they are a few graduates from the School of Life. Also, there's a guy on the team named Charlie Brown. And if that doesn't, turn you around, I'm not sure who will. Vince Carter, good feelings generator. Seems like is ageless, timeless,
He really is.
deceiving time. So that's a good reason to root for somebody.
He's like the Cars' first album.
Trae Young, weird and fun and small. Alan Krabby, which I think we've talked about at length before.
Mm-hmm. Well, we always talk about Alan Crabb on this show. We weirdly have two Canadian fans who are huge fans of Alan Crabb, and one time went to a Trailblazers game when he was there and created the hashtag Pincers Up for Alan Crabb. So that's what we got to say. Pincers Up, baby.
I like that. I mean, the one reason to detract, I think, is like Chandler Parsons.
Yeah.
He's a bit of a big bro.
Oh, you think?
He's like he doesn't have blood, he just has lube running through his veins. That's why he has so many knee problems. It's not good for your joint.
I feel like this is a team of kind of more disparate feelings, you know? Even I can't really give you one big unified reason to root for them. But if you like, I don't know, like real...
If you want to root for, like, a young Steph Curry who looks like he put his head in a cotton candy machine, this is the team for you.
Hey, some of us have been struggling with how to part our hair for a long time.
The one thing I would say that should DQ the Hawks, however, is if you're looking for an enemy of the University of Kentucky, I believe Christian Laettner might be at the top of that list. And he made his lone all-star appearance for the Atlanta Hawks.
All right, so the Hawks are out. All right, the Boston Celtics, Sean. Are there any University of Kentucky players on the Boston Celtics?
There is one, and his name is Enes Kanter.
Oh, no. He didn't really play there, though. He just kind of did the... like WWE entrances in practice, right? Isn't that basically what he did when he was there?
I think that's what happened, but there's so many reasons Enes Kanter might leave somewhere.
All right, let's start with the feelings this time. Katie, what are the feelings reasons to root for the fucking Celtics?
There are many. I think if you want to be hated by your friends and family, that's a decent reason. If you have some demons that you have to attend to, that's another reason. I only am rooting for Marcus Smart, who maybe has like a crazy, like, what's the eye infection you can get? What's the infection
Pink
you can get?
Eye?
That goes in your eye, and it like only affects one side of your body. And chicken pox is it?
Oh, shingles.
Yeah, shingles. I'm worried he has shingles in his eyes.
I didn't even know that was possible, but if it could, I mean, that just shows he's a dirt. He likes to just get in the dirt and grind.
No, I think
his body.
No.
he borrowed Chandler Parsons' sunglasses. That's all it is. It'll clear up in about a week and a half.
I mean, maybe the easier thing is to look at who's kind of nice on the Celtics, and then that's a stretch, you know? Kemba's okay. Jason Tatum, sure.
I don't like Jason Tatum.
But this isn't for you. I'm not convincing you.
Yeah, but I'm not going to tell someone to be a fan of Jason Tatum. You know what I mean? Like, he's 19. He's an MVP.
You just
Sideburns.
I think he's 15 years old, Joey.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody wants to root for Doogie Howser.
He's not Doogie Howser.
If you're looking for enemies, then you could like the Celtics.
Yeah, if you want to be hated, this is the team for you, I think, right?
Yeah,
like,
so if Silky Johnson's like a bad boy.
Yeah. Like, also, if you're really into pro gaming, this is for you. Like, if you have a Twitch stream, this is your team, right? Custom keyboard and mice that have neon lights on them, this is your team. All right, Kelly Dwyer, basketball. What are the basketball reasons for liking the Boston Celtics?
I have none. They're the Celtics. What I do have is a real life example. A couple of friends of mine who live in Kentucky are huge Celtics fans because, they're about my age, and they did live in Boston for a while in the early aughts. They're wonderful people, and they enjoy the Celtics because in 1997, Rick Pitino drafted 42 Kentucky Wildcats for his team.
Excellent point.
Yeah, you got who? Delk, McCarty, Antoine. There's more.
Yes, and this couple is friends with McCarty. They've been in business with him, making socks.
What?
This is a phenomenal couple.
You know a couple that makes socks with Walter McCarty?
Who is the woman that was married to Salman Rushdie? Who's on the chef show?
Padma Lakshmi?
Yeah, she's been in their kitchen.
What?
In Kentucky.
What?
That's all I'm going to say. They're a remarkable couple, and I love them to bits. So yeah, I think Boston is kind of there. So isn't Kentucky kind of a hateable? Aren't they kind of the Celtics-y?
I can see that. Yeah.
Adolph Rupp was,
is
pretty outwardly racist until the 70s.
He felt the same way as most Boston fans do.
Yeah.
There you go.
I do think Adolph Rupp did once try and stab a black man with an American flag. Just like what happened in Boston in the 70s. All right.
Joey, I did some statistical research, and I found that there are 21 Chipotle locations. So if that sways it either way, Danny Ainge Chipotle super fan.
I brought in a special.
Really?
I brought in a special guest for this team. Bill Simmons from the Book of Basketball 2.0, the podcast. Why should our friend Silky Johnson root for the Boston Celtics? Because they're the best team. What's not to love? Best city in the world, best team. Brad Stevens, he's a virgin. It's great. All right.
Wow. It's great that he listens. That's what I like.
All right.
He's a big fan.
All right. Brooklyn Nets. Sean Keane. Tell us, are there any Kentucky alumni on the Brooklyn Nets?
There is no one on the roster, although Mikhail Prokhorov was a guest lecturer. He was the Rick Pitino chair for shadiness in business practices. He was really good.
All right, Kelly. Why should someone root for the Brooklyn Nets?
Maybe because they're a blank slate.
Yeah, they really are.
They play with that gray court where everyone looks dead, or at least zombified, or like a video game from the 80s where they just turn that shade of purple that means dead, or Soda Popinski, one of the two. Yeah, it's a clean slate. You get to run with and Kyrie Irving and Durant picked that place, not unlike a college coach who has no idea that he's getting a recruit until he lifts the hat off the table. Why not? They have Kenny Atkinson. That just sounds like the name of a college coach.
Mm-hmm. He does. Kenny Atkinson does sound like a college coach, but also kind of like a fake college coach. You know what I mean?
Oh, for State U?
Yeah, or like you're playing like an NCAA video game and like your coach retires and one of the options to hire is Kenny Atkinson.
Yeah. It does feel like Durant and Kyrie going to that team feels like somebody just buying like an empty lot and just being like, but imagine what this house could look like. Also, the contractor has malaria, so we have to wait a while for him to get better. And all the doors are going to be triangles because of Kyrie.
Right. Imagine rooting for like a trophy ceremony featuring Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. Imagine smiling your way through that. I like both of those guys. That's just weird. Better go with the gray court.
Kelly, who's the greatest net of all time?
Jamie Foxx.
Is it Brooklyn? Oh. I love it.
Oh, it's Brooke Lopez, right?
No, it's Jamie Fike. Because Jamie Fike did everything that Brooke Lopez did in like a 2-month span.
Yeah.
Got paid and got out of there.
They are going to retire Brooke Lopez's jersey, though, right?
They better.
Yeah. I mean, it might be Jason Williams, too.
The murderer?
Like the most typical. I'm just saying, if you're trying to encapsulate the spirit of the Nets, I think it's Jason Williams. Like, signing a massive contract extension and immediately breaking his leg and never playing again, and then going to jail for murder.
Yeah, Jason Williams' fingerprints are all over this franchise.
All right, Katie, I'm gonna clear this up for some people, are a Brooklyn Nets supporter, basically. They're not your favorite team, but they're one of your favorite teams. Tell us, feelings-wise, why you would root for the Brooklyn Nets.
2 words, one sweet young man, Jarrett Allen. First and foremost. DeAndre Jordan, a close second. Yes, Kyrie and Kevin Durant are there now. I hate the Crypt Keeper court.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like they're always just falling into it. Like, it looks like they're not. It really fucks up your depth perception when you're watching those games. I don't know that I'm like, I would say a whole like Nets fan, more of like the pieces on that particular team. I do have one really fucked up piece that I hope gets jettisoned out of there. But as Kelly said, I feel like this is a good team to go to for this exercise if you didn't have one. Because, one, it's not like a Hawks-esque team who will maybe have no chance of ever like making it into the playoffs. Mm-hmm. These guys could be pretty successful. They're pretty fun to watch. And it is like a bit like a clean slate. I don't know. Yeah, I like the Nets. So sue me.
She's got Brooklyn down already.
Wow.
Hey, I like the Nets. So sue me.
Katie, have you so you're a Nets fan. We've just established that. Have you yet bought any Spencer Dinwiddie cryptocurrency?
No, I didn't even know he had any, but that's great for him for being such an entrepreneur.
Yeah, he's converted his contract into cryptocurrency, but the NBA won't let him sell it yet.
That's good. That's smart. I'm glad the league safeguarded.
You probably shouldn't be able to invest in a player's individual contract. I feel like that's opening the door for some cap malfeasance, specifically from Joe Lacob and or the Alibaba founder.
You raise a good point, though, because I could see the Nets not being the ideal team to keep up with because every single one of these players has like so much else on the go. Mm-hmm. And I think it's like more, I think it's like accelerated by the fact that they all live in New York. So they all feel like they need to be like hustling. Entrepreneurs.
Do they live in New York, though? They're from Brooklyn.
Yeah. Anyway.
You need to apologize to Lena Dunham right now, Joey.
What I will say is if I could choose, I would never root for a team that had Kevin Durant on it. All right, next.
Wow.
It's not an enjoyable experience. The Charlotte Hornets. Sean, are there any UK players on the Charlotte Hornets?
There are indeed, Joey. Former number 2 overall pick Michael Gilchrist is there. Malik Monk is there. And PJ Washington is there. It is possible that Michael Jordan only watches ACC basketball and like select Kentucky games as well. The roster is so loaded with players from specifically, it's close enough to North Carolina. Clearly, there's some kind of golf course around there too. So yeah, they're very Kentucky heavy.
All right, Katie, why would someone root for the Charlotte Hornets?
because when you look at their roster photos, the one of Cody Zeller is him bleeding from a head wound. And I do think that kind of surmises the whole team's vibe most of the time. And I always will have a soft spot for Bismack Biyombo, who, because he played a handful of games for the Raptors, got like outstanding, unheard of, multi-million-dollar contract. He basically got his. Otherwise, I don't know what to tell you. Not many reasons.
I've got one, actually. Devontae Graham is cool and good.
He's cool.
That's why I'd root for them. I also like Miles Bridges. I like those three guys from the University of Kentucky. I don't know. I mean, look, you're never going to win more than 25 games if you root for this team. But I think there's a lot of fun young guys on here, and it's got to be kind of funny if the owner of the team you root for is Michael Jordan.
Yeah, let me tell you this right now. You should be rooting for the Charlotte Hornets if you live in the greater Charlotte area. Other than that, if you could choose any team in the league, why would you do this to yourself? I like those young guys too, but they're going somewhere else.
This one's kind of high on my list. I kind of like this one.
This is like occasionally we realize on this podcast, like, when the just like constant losing of rooting for the Warriors up until 5 years ago has just seeped into our brains. And I've had the same thing where I'm like, maybe you could watch Devontae Graham grow without remembering the entire history of the Charlotte Hornets franchise. Pure misery, basically, since the original team moved to New Orleans.
Kelly, why should Silky Johnson root for the Charlotte Hornets?
I think Silky's got to stay away. I mean, how about this? These are all players he used to root for, right? Mm-hmm. So he used to root for Malik Monk. So he knows what Malik Monk is all like. If you're a Hornet fan and you get Malik Monk back in a few years, or you change teams and you're like, I'm going to root for the Hawks now, and you're like, oh wait, the Hawks have Malik Monk? No, he's but Kid Gilchrist never plays. Mm-hmm. Okay,
he's hurt.
And Washington is fantastic, but he's 6'6.5", and you're within a month and a half, you're going to be like, oh yeah, this guy wasn't taking us to an NCAA championship. How the heck is he going to get this team to 30? How many games do they play? 82. So what do you got to make the playoffs? Like 60, 41, and they're still not going to make the playoffs. Oh yeah, I'm not going to pick Charlotte.
All right,
that's me doing my Silky Johnson.
Fair enough. Do you have a guitar riff for the Charlotte Hornets?
You ready?
Yep.
Wait, hold on. Michael Jordan likes players from the suburbs. So if you're into like players that grew up with two cars in a suburban, just choose another team besides Charlotte.
I've seen, you know what he does at the draft interviews, Kelly? He slowly takes out a Wetzel's pretzel and he sees if the guy wants to eat it or not, and if he really wants that pretzel, Jordan's like top of the draft board. That's got the suburban. And then if the guy eats the pretzel, Michael Jordan dramatically reaches behind his back and produces an orange Julius and says, "Welcome to the Hornets."
I feel like I would do really well on that.
They have like really long conversations about that guy who goes around checking the meters.
Yeah.
All right.
Katie, do they have orange Julius in Canada?
Yeah, but there's only like 2 in Toronto, not in Canada.
All right, the Chicago Bulls. Sean, are there any Kentucky players on the Chicago Bulls?
There are not. I don't believe there's any Kentucky connections as far as I can tell. I should have been looking a little more into the coaching staff and the front office, but I didn't. So,
all right, Kelly. Why? You've lived in Chicago. why would someone become a fan of the Chicago Bulls in 2019? Because I do not know.
Hey, Joey, can I cut in for a second?
Yeah.
I just realized that Gar Forman is from our area.
What do you mean?
How is that possible?
It's from Moraga.
Oh, that's fine. Whatever. He's a loser. That sounds about right.
How is he not from Iowa? How does that make any sense?
I know. I don't understand it because I saw he went to college at Utah State, and I said, absolutely, yes. That's he coached at a place called College of the Desert, and I'm like, yes, absolutely, he did. Cal Poly Pomona, absolutely. Oh, but he became an Iowa State assistant, and because of that, he has a job with the Bulls for life because of his connection to Iowa State.
No, but he's the reason they're connected to Iowa.
Oh, he's the source of that?
Yes.
No, Jerry Krause's obsession with Tim Floyd is the source of that.
Yeah,
Still?
he was one of Tim Floyd's assistants.
But Tim Floyd didn't go over well.
John Paxson still takes Jerry Krause players.
I mean, Joey, I don't think he considered it a failure because he hired Fred Hoiberg later.
Well,
hey, Fred Hoiberg's on my side because he doesn't return texts. I found out the other day. No, the Bulls are a minor league operation, and they are disturbing and inessential. And they are. I wrote last year that if toxic masculinity could fly a plane, this would be its bus, and I stand by that statement. They are unenjoyable in all regards, even the good times, like when they put Kobe White in for a last-second Hail Mary to win a ball game. They take a big fella out who's supposed to be at the free throw line to secure a defensive rebound to pass to Kobe White for that Hail Mary. And those are some of the screw-ups that Jim Bumbles Boylan likes to make up all the time. Tim Trimbles Boylan is not a good basketball coach. They do not have a good front office. They have a ownership group that does not enjoy the sport of basketball. And also, let me bring us back. They also employ Jim Trimblebits Boylan. He is not a good basketball coach. With that in place, they used to have Artis Gilmore, who used to play for Kentucky's ABA team. But he was chased away by Jerry Reinsdorf. Don't root for the Bulls. They're hideous. They wear those red uniforms at home, which makes absolutely no sense. It's just a miserable franchise up and down, and I'm ashamed to have. Listen, I still have a lot of memorabilia around. Okay, I'm not going to lie. There's just a lot of stuff hanging around, but they are ruining Wendell Carter's first few years. Kobe White's going to lose that smile in about 2.5 months. Chris Dunn is like their best player right now out of spite. It's not a good situation.
Isn't Chris Dunn's entire thing kind of out of spite? Like, isn't that kind of his motivating factor? Is just like, he seems like if spite were a player, it would be Chris Dunn. You know what I mean?
Leading the league in steals, coming out of Providence. They are bad at making you feel things about the game of basketball. Sorry for dipping into Katie's realm, but they make me wonder why this sport does what it does to me. Because this collection of personalities, people, let's just say it, men, this group of men, it's not fit for consumption, least of all from Kentuckians. Pass.
All right, that's a pretty strong case. Katie Heindl, do you have any counters to that rant we just heard?
Yeah, I think the gear's cool as hell. Sorry, Kelly. I think, look, to me, the Bulls are like they're like a team you could get into now only to ignore them and then get a bunch of really cool throwback or even current gear and wear around because it's still one of the coolest looking, I don't know, I think it's in the whole league. Denzel Valentine and Otto Porter Jr. are two sweet angels. Otherwise, yeah, it's a tough sell from a player standpoint. But if you just want to pretend to like a team, I feel like you could just go in and all in on the Bulls, not pay too close attention, hope for another coach to come along shortly.
I feel like becoming a Bulls fan in 2019 is a little bit like becoming a U2 fan because that album appeared on your phone.
Exactly. It's easy. So if you don't want, it depends on your level of commitment. If you're just looking to rep a team, then you found the team to do it with because everybody looks good in a Chicago Bulls jacket.
It is true. That is true. I will say that thinking about all these young players that have come to Chicago and had their souls crushed makes me think of the Bulls as like the NBA equivalent of the like
military school.
I was even gonna say like the school to prison pipeline almost. Like you can't escape. You're just incarcerated for years. Your only hope is to like act out enough that you get transferred somewhere else.
Yeah, look at Doug McDermott. He's afraid to look you in the eye.
Yeah, and now he's thriving. I feel like
Barely.
if Tyrese Thomas had gone somewhere else, I really think that could have worked. I really do.
If you walk into a room too briskly and Doug McDermott is there, he'll get a little uneasy at first. It's not all the way gone.
Look, let me just pose this to you all theoretically. What if Stan Van Gundy makes his triumphant return and is hired by the Chicago Bulls?
That would cost Jerry Reinsdorf money, so it wouldn't happen. That's the only problem.
But would that turn the team around a little bit in your hearts?
There are players I really like on the Bulls. Like, I love Satoransky. I love Wendell Carter. Lauri Markkanen I loved, and then they've already destroyed somehow. Like, I have no faith. He looks
scary now.
I have no faith in Lauri Markkanen ever turning the ship around, and it's solely because of what the Bulls have done to him.
I think Jim Boylan's the worst NBA coach I can remember, though.
Me too. I
can't think. I mean, and we rooted for the Warriors for a long time.
I was gonna say I think PJ Carlesimo is close, but that's the level we're talking about.
But like PJ knows how to like call a timeout.
Yeah,
you know what
but
I mean?
also
like,
a player choked him.
I mean that's true, but like
he also played Kevin Durant at shooting guard, Sean.
But
PJ.
I mean that he really ruined the development of Kevin Durant. Oh wait, actually that worked out pretty well.
I'm surprised you guys do not have fiery Mike Montgomery takes. I guess just no one cared about him enough to choke him.
We were too broken by then. I mean, he was really bad.
He was really bad.
Oh, did KG get to you? Kevin Garnett break you?
He kind of did. All right, we got to move on. The Cleveland Cavaliers, Sean, do they have a University of Kentucky player?
They have NCAA tournament hero, super freshman Brandon Knight.
Oh, so they don't have any University of Kentucky players then? Because he doesn't play. All right. Katie, is there a feelings reason someone would root for the Cleveland Cavaliers in 2019?
There isn't. The Cavs are so sad. It's sad because one of my number one enemies is on the team, so I do have a personal bias. Matthew Dellavedova.
Oh, Delly. Okay. Why is Matthew Dellavedova one of your number one enemies?
Have you ever Googled rats playing basketball? Just so you could do that, and then you'll know. Anyway, Tristan Thompson's a waste. I feel like Kevin Love's got to get the hell out of there. But it sucks because there's a lot of really like young and like guys that look like they want to have fun kind of dudes on this team. Mm-hmm. But I can't really give a good feelings reason why.
Oof.
I'm sorry.
That's rough.
But I mean, almost all the players represent bad feelings in one form or another.
Yeah, I will say, like, watching Larry Nance Jr. play against the Raptors the other night, the entire game I thought he was wearing black construction boots. And I was like, this checks out. And that's kind of how he runs around with just, like, the weight of the world, like, all down at his feet.
He definitely...
He's a lunch pail guy.
Larry Nance Jr. definitely, for a guy who's, like, pretty athletic... I would describe the way he runs as clomping.
Mm-hmm. So he shouldn't wear construction boots when he's playing basketball.
Kelly, Is there a reason to root for the Cleveland Cavaliers?
I mean, Dylan Windler sounds like a guy who just went to Kentucky, but not on an athletic scholarship.
Yeah. He was just like a volunteer walk-on who unaffiliated.
No, not even. He's 5'10", but super racist. Kevin Porter Jr. was born on May 4th, 2000, and I was thinking, like, that date sounds familiar to me because I lived through it. And, I looked it up. That was the game where Travis Best hit that corner three to beat the Milwaukee Bucks in Game 5 of the opening round, Pacers-Bucks in 2000. That's the day Kevin Porter was born.
Wow.
Oh, we're in the future, and it's terrible. It still includes the Cleveland Cavaliers. No, there's no reason to root for them. They're the team that traded for John Henson.
All right.
Didn't they also give up a bunch for J.J. Hickson?
Yeah, they did.
Ago.
I think they still owe a pick to the Dallas Cowboys in 2032. Matthew Dellavedova drinks Corona out of a can. I've seen a Corona can.
All right. The Dallas Mavericks. Sean, any UK players out in Dallas?
None.
Okay. That's right, because there's only...
Yeah, they just don't particularly have a historical connection to the university at all. It's like after Jamal Mashburn, they were like, no thanks. We don't want... I mean, it wasn't his fault that they all fought over Tony Braxton, but I think he's still affiliated with the 3Js era.
I will say Dwight Powell sort of feels like a Kentucky guy, but he's not a Kentucky guy. Because he's not that athletic. All right.
Yeah, he didn't peak at age 16.
Yeah,
Plus,
exactly.
Mark Cuban's from Indiana.
Yeah.
Well, that might.
Oh, yeah, that's really important. Yeah. Mark Cuban's facade of an empire was based on pirating University of Kentucky radio broadcasts.
No, Indiana.
Indiana broadcasts, and then selling his company at its peak value that was then worth nothing. Just
broadcast.com.
Yeah, about a year before Kevin Porter Jr. was born.
Kelly, is there a reason to root for the Dallas Mavericks in 2019?
Let's see. Kentucky has the potential for really great basketball uniforms, but every time I see them, they're just kind of off. Mm-hmm. And I kind of think like Dallas is the same. Well, Dallas has had the worst. This isn't even about the city editions. That's just piling on. Everyone goes through a Paul's Boutique phase at some point. They're going to try that bullshit. Sorry for cursing. Those blues are beautiful down in Dallas. I mean, what? Dallas has potential. So I can see getting in on it, especially if you maybe have like a conflict of opinion with Calipari for a year and you want to go hang out with Cuban and go. I can kind of see it. Boban's always on the Gobin, and JJ Barea just kind of looks like an assistant coach on a team like Kentucky. Yeah, so I'm kind of feeling it. But as with all things, I got to work on the uniform before I can sign off on anything.
I get where you're going. I have this feeling we're gonna decide against rooting for the Dallas Mavericks for non-basketball reasons. But Katie, tell us some feelings about you have about the Dallas Mavericks.
I don't want to throw you off, but I think that the Mavericks are like a little bit of an intriguing feelings choice, but not in its current form. Mm-hmm. It would take a lot of dismantling and maybe an explosion to get Mark Cuban out of there, get Porzingis off this damn roster. And then, you're looking at some pretty nice guys.
Exactly.
Sweet dudes. I watched Bowman. I didn't know he had a show. I watched a show of him today, which is called Bowman on the Go Ben. and it's him at the Texas State Fair eating a bunch of carnival food. That's the whole episode. Pretty cool. I always root a little bit for Seth Curry because everybody's just forgotten about him. I like Tim Hardaway Jr.'s energy a lot. DeLon I love DeLon.
Yeah, this is a fun team. It's just too bad they're the Dallas Mavericks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I will say an intriguing point about them, and this is like, this is kind of shows you almost like encapsulated why they're intriguing, but also problematic. When they hired Jenny Busek to be an assistant coach, she was pregnant, and they didn't have a mat leave policy in place because they had never experienced that before. Employing a woman at that level. Yeah. So they had to make one, which is great, but they already should have had one.
Yeah, rooting for Luka Doncic for the next 20 years seems like a really great idea, but also you have to remember you're also rooting for Mark Cuban for 20 years too, and I can't do it, man.
Although I will say there's definitely a possibility that he dies on the operating table for the plastic surgery procedure because his face is like 70% artificial right now, I think.
If he died, does Dirk just become the owner? They've secretly just been giving him shares of the team for all these years, right?
I believe that's true. I believe what happens is he and Ross Perot Jr. have a 3-point shootout to determine the game.
It's Texas code.
If Dirk owned the team, then this would be the number one team. I might jump ship, but unfortunately,
I've thought about it for Dirk I kind of did in the playoffs for years, just because, well, my own rooting interests were not relevant after Christmas.
December, yeah.
All right. I think this one's going to be a strong contender. Sean, the Denver Nuggets, do they have any University of Kentucky players?
They have two. They have Jamal Murray, and they also have the mysterious Jared Vanderbilt. Doesn't he sound like a shipwrecked billionaire who's been missing for years and been confirmed dead?
No, it sounds like an episode of the Boogie Monster podcast. It's like, the Jared Vanderbilt stabbings, and there's several ghosts. And Kyle Kinane's like, I'm not feeling this one, bro. That's the worst Kinane impression.
All right, let's. One of the last times I did stand up was I was hosting Sean's show, and Kinane was on it, and I was like, you might recognize this next guy from saying, Workaholics is next. Here's Kyle Kinane.
And now that's our friend David Borey's job.
Katie, why would you root for the Denver Nuggets in 2019?
Well, 2019 is kind of the perfect year to root for the Denver Nuggets. It's hard to It's hard to root against them, and I think it's a perfect entry team because look, I don't think you're gonna have many strong years rooting for the Denver Nuggets, but if you're gonna pick a team this season, then this is the one. Jamal Murray, sweet boy from Mississauga, Canada. That's in Ontario, folks. Will Barton.
What is that town like, Katie?
It's fine. It's mostly a suburb, but it's.
Michael Jordan's ears just perked up.
A lot of great Canadian talent, not just athletic, musical talent, artistic talent, comes out of Mississauga because it's a big part of the diaspora outside of Toronto.
Oh, so it's like Canada, New Jersey.
No, not at all.
No. Is that what you just heard in her explanation was New Jersey?
Well, no, but the thing is like a lot of really great bands come out of New Jersey because it's close to New York.
Name a second
sense?
Band.
What? Well, it's like
you're not calling the Smithereens a great band, are you?
No, but like well, I mean, there's Springsteen, but there's like Ted Leo. There's a lot of New Jersey bands.
Oh, you're right. There's Southside Johnny and the Asbury Jukes. I totally forgot about Southside Johnny.
Okay.
Titus Andronicus.
Bon Jovi. Come on!
Not like that, but anyway, moving on. You got what?
Is Tango technically from New Jersey?
Yeah, they're from New Jersey.
Yeah.
Can I keep going?
Yeah.
Mississauga is not like New Jersey.
Yeah, Jokic, obviously. The thing I like the best about Jokic and what filled me with the most feelings was at the beginning of the year when people getting down on him about what he looked like now and his eating habits, which I think is extremely inappropriate and none of your business. But that how he just kind of leaned extremely hard on that and ran with it. And he doesn't give a shit what he looks like. And he's playing the best basketball of his life.
He has started lifting weights after games too.
Doesn't
just to
matter.
give everybody the finger. He's never gonna look ripped.
It's not that you're that Eastern European body type.
Yeah.
Do your research. Anyway, the one drawback I will say, huge for me, this team has a Plumlee.
Oh, yeah.
And not the Burning Man Plumlee either. The
dedicated to basketball one.
Yeah.
Those are singing the fun Plumlee, Joey. Sorry.
I didn't say the fun one. I said the Burning Man Plumlee.
Okay.
Because you know the Atlanta Plumlee rides a unicycle, right, Katie?
Yeah, of course I know that.
All right, Kelly, why would you root for the Denver Nuggets in 2019?
The dribble handoff Plumlee. Clearly, he's just everything that college basketball is supposed to provide you with after 6 seasons at a college.
That is the thing.
Katie.
He's a very NCAA player, that Plumlee.
Yeah, well, except for the fact that he's good at basketball.
Yeah.
Mason Plumlee's really good. The Nuggets are a go. They came back against the Magic recently, and they seem to have a spark in them that will probably extinguish in the year 2020. But before then, they're going to beat up on the Timberwolves, and this guy's going to have a fantastic end. Silky is just going to be smoothing his way out of 2019. He's going to be the only one.
Yeah, I think this is a strong contender to be Silky's team.
Just because Jokic is going to be there forever, and hopefully, but he also just plays basketball like no one else I've ever seen, I think. There are more just casual, super weird things he does during an ordinary game that are just the spots he shoots from and the thing, just weird passes. It's it really is watching a bear play basketball, a really agile circus bear.
Yeah, and the other thing is, the thing I like about picking Denver to root for is you're picking a good team, but not a front runner.
Yeah. And good jerseys, too.
Yeah, and good. That throwback, the rainbow throwback, is the best jersey in the NBA.
That's true. I feel like Jokic is a sun bear, not a circus bear.
No, I'll take that, yeah. I was trying to indicate his agility, that's all.
I can't wait till Vanderbilt plays and you guys can tell me what sort of bipedal he looks like.
That's the other funny thing they have is if you're into high-profile injured college basketball players, this is the team for you, because every year they take a guy with a blown-out ACL and just put them on the bench, and maybe they'll play again, maybe they won't, because they have Jared Vanderbilt, Michael Porter Jr., and Bol. All right. The Detroit Pistons.
If you have 42 billion search results for dunk highlights on YouTube and a congenital back deficiency, then this is your team. Get up off the couch. Your pizza's here, Kentucky. It's time to watch the Denver Nuggets basketball.
All right, the Detroit Pistons. Sean, are there any there's got to be a UK player on the Detroit Pistons, right?
There's not a UK player on the
Is this the first year there hasn't been a UK player on the Detroit Pistons in 30 years?
Tayshaun Prince got a lifetime contract, which did help things along there. And then they have trying to think their other notable Kentucky dudes.
Brandon
they just
Knight.
drafted. Yeah, they just they've kind of like Joe Dumars just loved a big program college player.
Yeah,
and that informed their roster for a while.
All right, Kelly, is there a reason to root for the Detroit Pistons in 2019?
No.
Yeah.
No.
This team is extra depressing to me.
You ever seen their owner try to fire a lottery ticket or like a scooch ball or whatever into the first 4 rows of that arena? No. You talk about Mark Cuban's forehead. This guy's got material they haven't even invented yet on top of his.
He's also like a weird private prison entrepreneur, I think.
Oh, swell. Yeah, so, him and this point guard D Rose, maybe you could pick another squad is what I'm saying. If you ever want to watch basketball played as a satire, watch Tom Maker. Just watch him go out there and decide. They're asking for L, I'll still do Z. Blake Griffin's knee exploded in 2018. And Lewis King sounds like a guy that would have been on the team with John Long and Kelly Tripucka, but he's not. He's just Langston Galloway is a fine name, and Luke Kennard looks like someone who can shoot 3-pointers, but not really when it comes down to it. No, don't root for Detroit.
Luke Kennard is their 3rd best player. I think that's all a college basketball fan needs to know about the Detroit Pistons. But Katie, are there feelings reasons to root for the Detroit Pistons?
I feel like I'm cursed with the Pistons because to me they're like a legacy team. I've always liked the Pistons.
Rashid.
Yeah, I love Rashid.
You're close enough that you can cross the land bridge, right?
Okay.
From Canada to
Yeah, but I've only done that once, and it was at the old stadium, which I didn't realize was a city away.
Yeah.
Of Detroit.
They're a lot closer to Toronto now.
Yeah, because of Rashid, because of the Bad Boys years, but I think what's happening now is just a curse, and it's like trying to narrowly push me out of fandom. Now, it's working.
Here's a question for you, Katie. Is it the Pistons who are cursed, or is it Blake Griffin personally who's cursed?
That's a good question. I think the Pistons are cursed. I think Blake Griffin has brought his own unique brand of cursedness to the team. So now there's this swirling double curse. Yeah, it's pretty bleak, man. Derrick Rose sucks. Who else is even? Markieff Morris has turned so mean the farther he gets away from his twin.
The Hessians were right with their experiments.
The only shining light for me on this team is Andre Drummond, and that's even getting bleaker. The other day, as I guess a fluff piece, the team sent him to the car factory to look at how Jeeps were being made. It was so fucking bleak. So I don't know, man. And I will say, recently, 2 of my best dudes on the Raptors got hurt just trying to break the Dwayne Casey curse. Playing this team last night. So the Pistons don't get into this, I could be your proof. Stay away.
All right.
It really feels like if you're wondering what is fundamentally broken with Blake Griffin, it's that he's a basketball player, one of the coolest things you can do in the universe, and he wants to be a stand-up comedian. Which is one of the sadder. Look, stand-up comedy's great, a lot of talented people, but just deeply sad overall. Wouldn't you say, Joey?
Yeah, 100%.
Why is his aspiration to be I play in arenas under the big lights, but really, I would like to be talking to drunks in a basement in Montreal at 11:30, and not because of my merit, because I'm famous. What do you think? I am going to roast the hell out of Joe Rogan on a lightly watched Comedy Central event. Here, please, can I employ someone to write some transphobic jokes about Kate?
Hey, those are our friends. He's hiring.
That is true. I'm sure. I apologize to all my close friends secretly writing jokes for Blake Griffin.
Would you feel better if Blake Griffin were an improv freak? Because he'd have that unexplainable motivation, that cheeriness that no one can quite figure out, that glint in his eye that's almost inhuman, that tells you that this is great even though it isn't. And I almost feel like I'd rather have an improv dork than a sad sack stand-up comedy guy as my power forward.
I feel like his career would be better if he was an improv guy, not a stand-up guy, actually.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
he
that's
would bring a whole different energy out there. Improv freak.
Because
There's a
Because
real
he wants
beautiful. Sorry, there's just a mix of that, go for it all, like we're seeing with the UCB billionaires. There's just that go for the jugular thing in the top of them, that theater kid act. But there's also that sense of, of all this content we're putting out is amazing. It's great. And that's perfect for an 82 game season. I say we start looking out for the improv dorks. I say every assaulted nuts place on campus, we start shaking them down, see if we can find a backup point guard out of that.
I like it. Because at this point his aspiration is to tell jokes that other people wrote. And that's like, come on, man. Be a little more creative.
all right.
Stop hanging out with stop reading Barstool, buddy.
All right, we're less than halfway through and an hour in. We gotta
Oh my God.
speed
All right,
up
okay.
here. All right, the Golden State Warriors. Sean, are there any University of Kentucky players on the?
Yes, Joey, your favorite Warrior, Willie Cauley-Stein.
Oh, I'm gonna say right off the bat, don't be a Golden State Warrior fan. All right, let's start with Kelly. Kelly, is there a reason to root for the Golden State Warriors in 2019?
Yeah, they're going to remember everything about Cauley-Stein, and they're going to get it wrong because he's not like that anymore. Now that he gets paid, it's not the same.
Yeah, he's
I like
the worst. I hate watching him.
It's so bad. And it's two teams now that are just like, oh, can we just I'll give him this hat if it will just go away. So, if you want to get in on the whole shock horror of them returning 13 All-Stars and a top first-round pick all at once and that magical trade exception, fine. You still got to root for a team that has like 3 arenas inside its own arenas that are all fashioned after Epstein's jets. The interior is exactly the same. The applesauce brand is the same. Everything's the same. You got to dig on that and the rest of, WCS's contracts. So, boy, I don't know. It depends on how much you hate yourself, Kentucky.
Katie.
Silky.
It has been a little. I'm gonna say it has been a little confusing with Joey and I because we're like, all right, did you hear from Katie? Did you hear from KD? And yeah.
Yeah, why do you think my sister decided she wanted to be called Kate in about 1994? Why did you name us these?
All right, Katie, is there a reason to root for the Golden State Warriors in 2019?
No. And there wasn't. There wasn't before, but there isn't, especially now. I feel like if I get the Warriors now, it would be like, do you know when like a distant relative gets a hold of like a meme on Facebook that was around like 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I feel like it would be getting on the Warriors train now.
See,
it's over. It's done.
I feel like becoming a Golden State Warriors fan now is like watching Archie Bunker's Place without ever having seen All in the Family. Which is a very old reference. But Sean, is there a reason for Silky to root for the Golden State Warriors?
I mean, it's still pretty fun to watch. Like, I feel like I would enjoy the Warriors more if I wasn't actually a fan of them now. I mean, not this year, but like with Steph and Clay in a more objective way. I don't know, man. There's so much weird bullshit around Warriors fandom now, partly because of, some Warriors fans are publicly giant assholes. Some Warriors owners are like that too. But I still think they're pretty fun to watch.
Well, I mean, this team isn't. We're talking 2019. The D'Lo, Pascal, Willie Cauley-Stein edition.
I'm upset about that Bunker's Place reference because Chase Center is huge and voluminous and ostentatious and terrible. Where Archie Bunker, Norman Lear was printing money for that television station. And when it came time for a spinoff after that last show, after All in the Family was on this tiny little stage, the same couch for 32 years, they give him the worst set, the cheapest set, makes Lucky Louie look like Carnegie Hall. Come on. I know it's supposed to be... sorry. I didn't expect the Friends apartment, but I just wanted a little something more. Carroll O'Connor had to go to the South and start filming on film to get what he wanted out of production value. He had to go do Heat of the Night, which is the show that comes on when it's time to go to bed.
Yeah.
All right.
Same way with Hunter growing up, Kelly.
The Houston
like,
Rockets.
Hunter? Oh, bedtime.
All right, the Houston Rockets. Sean, are there any UK players on the Houston Rockets?
There are not. They had a brief flirtation with Brandon Knight. And
Katie, why would you root for the Houston Rockets?
I would, and I do. I think where the Celtics were a team that you wanted to get into if you wanted people to hate you, this is how do I put this? People will still hate you, but they'll respect your choices a little bit more, or they'll maybe be a bit nervous of you, or it will kind of like project an air of mystery and confidence. I like the whole mean cast of characters on the Rockets. I like the non-mean cast of characters. I love PJ Tucker. Tyson Chandler is the most handsome man in the universe. It weirdly makes me
sorry, what?
I feel like we've been over this before.
I think we have.
True. Yeah, I've been over all this maybe separately with each of you at different times. But if my views weren't expressly clear before, they are now.
Even though he's a Taurus.
Even though. Yeah. I mean, we share a sun sign, but I mean, a ruling planet in our sun signs. Sorry. The Rockets kind of like does something to Austin Rivers where I don't think he's a total dork, even though he is. And yeah, I don't know. I'm either like so drawn to this team because I can't wait to see if they combust, or if they can like hold it together with all this weird energy. So I think the Rockets are a good team to root for if you want to be kind of an outlier, but respect yourself.
All right, KD. Why would you root for the Houston Rockets in 2019?
Mine is same as Katie's, just way dumber. As he's all are. This is unprecedented stuff happening in Houston. If you're launching into this NBA thing out of nowhere, why not take in the team that has Luis Tiant as its pitcher? Just get into this. Is weird. What James Harden is doing is weird and strange and fun. And listen to us NBA nerds. We're still digging it this many years on, maybe more than ever. So yeah, dive in on this craziness and just stay off Twitter.
Okay, I have a fucking counter to this.
Yeah.
If you're gonna if you're gonna root for Houston for 1 year, yes, hop on now, but do not commit yourself to a team owned by Tillman Fertitta. Just don't do it. It's not worth it. If this is if this was a basketball equivalent of a one season stand, go for it, baby. But do not marry the Houston Rockets, because Tillman Fertitta is going to fuck this team up pretty soon, I would say. Right, Sean? Okay, Sean's gone. Are you guys...
Hey, I'm here. I'm here. Sorry. Just cut out for a second. We're skipping the Pacers, right?
Yeah, but yes. Well, Indiana, no, doesn't matter. They're next. The Clippers.
They have Patrick Patterson.
Patrick Patterson. All right. Classic Raptor. So let's start with Katie. Katie, why would you root for the Los Angeles Clippers?
Because they have a great frantic energy, and I think they're going to win the title. So if you want to just like slide into a team and convince people that that you liked them all along, this is a pretty good option because it has like a lot of strong, disparate pieces that I feel like you can get really behind. A lot of hated pieces, but that I find still easy to like. Patrick Beverley might be the most hated for some reason, but I love him. He's very cool. Patrick Patterson saw Nocturnal Animals 9 times when he lived in Toronto. He loved that movie.
Is that real?
Yes. He went on record. He went into like a local paper during TIFF one year, and he said that was what happened. I'll find the clip. I'll send it to you. Lou Williams, who I really didn't like for a long time, has become very likable to me on this team.
Mm-hmm.
Paul George, who I think is very boring, finds himself a nice edge on this team. I think Steve Ballmer's a lunatic.
Mm-hmm. That's great. That's the positive for me. My number one reason to root for the Clippers is Steve Ballmer.
Yes, because I was gonna say you get his wonderful. You're assured his wonderful reactions anytime this team does not well, but anything.
Yeah. What about the Doc Rivers factor, though? Do you want to root for Doc Rivers, Katie?
Actually, I will say I didn't realize Doc Rivers was so funny. But seeing him in some post and pregame scrums, I will say now he's a funny dude.
All right,
Joey.
Of
course he's funny.
Yeah.
Yes,
Joey, do you want to know the final movie screened at Pat Presents, Patrick Patterson's film screening series last year?
Wait, what? Patrick Patterson has a film festival?
I so want to hear this.
He just picks, I don't know if he's done it more than last year, but private movie events are called Pat Presents. He picks... he had a screening of Home Alone.
Boring, lame.
You had to wear Christmas pajamas there.
Lame.
One was a special screening of films from his student film contest.
What?
Oh, that's unfortunate. You shouldn't make people do that. Hey, I got a show. You want to come? Oh, no. It's one of those.
But Patrick Patterson's putting it on.
So the most recent one he did in Oklahoma City, I believe he's probably not doing this in Los Angeles because there's some places you can see a movie screening. The last one last season he did was Triple Frontier, the Ben Affleck, Charlie Hunnam movie.
Yeah.
About
the guy who wrote Mark Bowl, the Bowl movie. Weird. KD, is there a reason to root for the Clippers?
I think there's enough individual spirit in each of these characters to, I think, get behind. When the team is as ubiquitous as they are, they're going to be on national TV all the time. You're going to get to know these fellas, and this whole Landry Shamet is super serious thing. I'm suddenly ears are perking up.
Here's my only hesitance to becoming a Clippers fan now, is it feels like you're jumping on a year too late. You know, I feel like you look like kind of a bandwagon asshole jumping on after Kawhi signs there, where if you jumped on last year, you'd be in a perfect spot. Does that make sense?
I would say one of the weird things about living in Los Angeles and seeing this Clippers thing is that it feels like they had, I'm assuming this is a Lee Jenkins driven advertising campaign for the season. And it's all about street lights, not spotlights.
Yeah, that's an actual Clippers billboard right now.
But it's all it's LA our way. Like this is the grinding team. And then they'd already done all the artwork and committed to it, and then they got Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. So it's this is the blue collar team
that still plays in LA Live.
Yeah, that just signed the Finals MVP away from another team,
and then also, So
the branding is weird. Being a Clippers fan is weird. I mean, look, if you've been on board with the Clippers, totally makes sense. But jumping on this year feels.
I disagree.
There's also some uneasy stuff going on with their new building and the people they may be transplanting too. So it depends on how deep you go in terms of your woke. If you are Ronald Reagan woke in the Land of Confusion video by Genesis, then maybe that won't bother you. But anything else, you might get you might decide on another team.
They are moving to Inglewood and they're up to no good.
All right, the Los Angeles Lakers, Sean. What UK players do they have?
Well, the Lakers are the most Kentucky heavy team in the league, I think. Actually,
okay.
With with Anthony Davis, Rajon Rondo, and Boogie Cousins. That's like the most famous Kentucky guys. I don't think any other team has more than 3, and they have like an actual national champ and right, like those are more high pro. I mean, Charlotte feels weirder because it's all. I mean, Michael Kidd Gilchrist was a great Wildcat, but everyone else is like a dude that got taken 12th. You know.
Right. All right. KD, is now a good time to become a Lakers fan?
I mean, if you believe in that Kentucky exceptionalism, then yeah, because these are your shining examples of the brains and brawn that you send to the professional level.
Also, you get LeBron James for free.
Yes, you can imagine in your head that James totally would have been a Wildcat from 2003 to 2007. Yeah, I say why not? It's your ideal. It is your. I know Rob Pelinka went to Michigan, but you know that this is the pros. And if you're hopping on the pros and your name is Silky Johnson is just a Laker avatar to begin with. So
yeah,
I mean,
true.
I think for him personally, this might be the way to go.
Katie, feelings, reasons to become a Lakers fan?
Everything Sean said about the Clippers is what I feel about the Lakers in terms of like bandwagoning, but I also think that's the case. Isn't that the case every year for being a Lakers fan?
Right, exactly. I mean,
so
isn't
a bad thing.
Isn't the real case for becoming a Lakers fan like you just get to be a Lakers fan? You know what I mean? Isn't that the case always? I mean, I guess they've had a bunch of bad years, but
I will say though, like my feelings about this team, I feel very good about most of them, but this is the only team where the fans really bother me more than the team. So Silky, if you want to go down this road, that's fine, but you're going to have to go it on your own.
I will say if the factor I would say that might be interesting is that he can probably see the Lakers, his new favorite team, more often living in Kentucky, just on national television. If that was, but you know, you're gonna have to stay up a little bit.
Oh, they're all geeked out. They'll be fine. I also found another thing is that Kentucky fans also put flags outside their cars, and when you become a Laker fan, you get that little flag. I don't know where they give it out in California, if it's a DMV or whatever, but like they give you that flag to put on your car.
The Department of Power and Water actually sends them to you with eco-friendly light bulbs.
Bullshit. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you get a yoga mat, 2 avocados, a Laker flag, and then low efficiency, high efficiency. I think
you also get like a beach towel, a like fleece blanket,
Elaine May's phone number,
and they give you some Ralph's brand popsicles too.
All right, the Memphis Grizzlies. Sean, any UK players on the Memphis Grizzlies?
No, I did not see any.
Okay. Katie, why would you become a Memphis Grizzlies fan in 2019?
Did you say KD?
No, I meant KT. KT.
Okay. Don't ever say it like that again. Yeah, the Grizzlies is like, if anything, an all feelings team.
Yeah.
I think at this point. So they're like all heart when they play. They're really fun to watch. John Morant is a marvel. I'm so scared of his precious little legs snapping any day now. They got JV, which is high on the feelings barometer. They got Bruno. These are 2 wonderful, essential parts of like a very high caliber feelings team. The Raptors, when they were part of that team, I should say. I didn't like Andre Iguodala before he came to the Grizzlies. Now I like him just fine. Yeah, I don't know. These guys just like they like to tussle and have fun.
I like this team. If you're in on getting in the ground floor or something, and possibly being disappointed a few years from now. But I would say the Jaren Jackson Jr. Ja Morant combo feels a little bit like a John Calipari recruit year where they're supposed to be really good and then they aren't as good as they're supposed to be. KD, should Silky Johnson become a fan of the Memphis Grizzlies?
Silky Johnson, let me tell you about Anthony Melton. Okay,
Yeah.
This guy can't shoot, but boy howdy can this fella play some defense. You will have fun watching him. It will remind you of absolutely nothing that's going on in college basketball these days. Silky, Jaren Jackson Jr. has 4 rebounds this entire year. It's great. It's so much fun. Jonas Valanciunas gets away with so many travels, and then sometimes they call him for travels when he doesn't travel. Solomon Hill has been doing that with his hair for like a year and a half now. I cannot recommend the Memphis Grizzlies enough.
Sean Keane, anything you want to say about the Memphis Grizzlies?
I mapped the driving distance from Lexington, Kentucky, because I don't know where Silky lives, so I just went with Lexington. 6 hours and 16 minutes unless you take the scenic route, and then it's 6:38.
It's a beautiful drive, by the way.
I like Memphis for Silky. Keep that in mind. It's not the front runner, but it's higher on the list than you'd think a team that loses that much would be. All right,
this is one of my preferred teams for sure. Just because, I feel like Ja Morant is going to be better to watch than almost anyone else.
Yeah.
I
think we've got another contender here, though. The Miami Heat. Sean, are there any UK players on the Heat this year?
Yeah, and they're both extremely fun. You've got rookie Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo.
Oh, this is great.
Great
name.
name.
KDE.
Yeah.
Would you root for the Miami Heat this year?
What is the where our friends from Amish territories go off on that wild weekend or summer or year and a half that they have?
Rumspringa.
Yeah, I got a feeling that the Miami Heat might be that sort of rum fashionista, whatever, for our friends Silky JJ. This team is a slick. They turn it over 123 times a game because they're all out trying to buy cocaine. Let me tell you, man, this place has girls everywhere, guys on top of those girls, underneath them, helping them lift stuff up, open up pickle jars. Miami is the place for you to spend this next, I don't know, what do we think, till May 30th, until you wake up and how did I get that shoe and when did I grow this horn? It's I think this could be the next 8 months for you, Silks.
This is a great team. Great jerseys when they wear the Miami Vice ones. A lot of weirdos on this team, and 2 Kentucky players that are actually fun. Katie, are there feelings reasons to root for the Miami Heat?
As Kelly said, this is kind of like the spring break of feelings team. I think you can kind of excuse yourself of all your usual habitual feelings. You can really just run wild, let your freak flag fly on the beach, get a sunburn, get sunstroke, pass out too early, not know where you're waking up. Dion Waiters keeps doing that. I have to say his latest is a good encapsulation of calling in sick and then posting photos of yourself on a boat. It's a perfect, beautiful reason to like this team. Jimmy's having fun for the first time in his life. Bam's amazing. Dragic is a weird Florida warlock. The only drawback is Kelly Olynyk sucks. And I don't understand why they're not making him do something better with his aesthetic appearance.
What is up?
Yeah, because he's been there long enough now that this is not his spring break. This is his full-time job. So aside from that, if you just want to have a good time, go for the Heat.
Keen, anything you want to add to that?
I just think this is a fun choice. Also, it's a team that is basically always going to try, which is a weirdly underrated thing to look for a franchise where they tanked once.
Mm-hmm.
And they got Beasley.
And they got Michael Beasley.
and now they'll never tank again. But also just like weird, but very specific team culture. I'm not as into the body shaming as a practice, but I love it as an observer, if that makes sense. Like, the very, very diverse array of celebrity fans. Super fun team.
Also, you can call yourself a Bernie bro because of their mascot.
All right.
And Jimmy Buffett, who kind of looks like Bernie Sanders.
All right.
Boat incident, people. Boat incident. You're scrolling through Hoops Hype. You missed the first part of the thing. You get to that second quote, and they refer to the boat incident. You're like, wait, what boat incident? What did I miss? And you scroll back up. No, he's taking pictures on Instagram. You get that as part of your fandom.
All right. The Milwaukee Bucks, Sean, do they have any UK players?
They have the great Eric Bledsoe, athletic marvel and hair salon enthusiast. Also, Giannis ate a lot of their fried chicken last summer when he was exploring American cuisine.
KD, is now a good time to jump on the Bucks bandwagon?
Jelly's wondering about Eric Bledsoe's last couple of weeks or last couple of games with the Wildcats. If he kind of, if he was a little unsteady, little uneasy, little DJ Wilson in the second quarter of a real game. So I'd wonder about that. It's, if you're into that, I don't know. I have extended family in Wisconsin that have come down that I visit for the holiday season, and the Bucks have been at the top of the Eastern Conference both times, and they're like, just Giannis, he travels all the time. So if you're coming from that college sort of area and you're just unable to be moved, then maybe the Bucks aren't the team for you because it's a little too different for you, even in what seems like their orthodoxy with Budenholzer and their Lopez and all that. I don't know. It's kind of like getting into Ohio State. It feels like a little too heavy to dive into right away.
Katie, are there feelings reasons to become a Milwaukee Bucks fan?
Yeah, after I think like the freewheeling feelings reason to get into the Heat and then dropping directly into the Bucks, it just feels like too technical of a team to get into as your first team. It's just like, aside from like the beautiful band of brothers, like literal the Lopez brothers going on, and then like I don't know, Ilyasova. Giannis is obviously fun to watch, but this is like an extremely serious team, and it's like extremely take your feelings seriously all the time team, and like that's even too much for me.
Isn't it weird that that's what Giannis has become? Because he was a fun guy.
He's still like a sweet, fun guy, and I will say, I always like the gauge of that is his summer times. So when those start to go like too serious, then I'll be concerned. But I think he's just like in the zone. Granted, like I hope they have like tanning beds or something that they can pop into every now and then, because I feel like this whole team has like a vitamin D deficiency.
Katie, what would be what would be a worrying summer from Giannis in your eyes? What would be the hallmarks of that?
A bad, like a terrible summer?
Not a terrible, but just like
a too serious summer.
As a summer expert, what concerns
you find out he's in Greenland or something?
Yeah, I was gonna say like I was even gonna say Iceland, but I feel like Iceland can be kind of like whimsical, so like not.
He's like visiting
sugar cube.
Yeah, he like or he just like stays in Milwaukee.
I will say it seems crazy how quickly the Bucks seem to be in this like, if they don't win now, it's over forever.
Let's sign Kyle Korver.
They were like the 8th seed, and then they lost that Raptors series, but the Raptors were really good, and it just seems like they're panicking way too soon.
Budenholzer's the coach.
Yeah, I guess that's
Al Horford's like, hey man, I won Player of the Month for December. He's like, that's not enough. I'll fight him.
Mike Budenholzer is like the toad from Wind in the Willows, but always just screaming.
Also, got a DUI that one time. All right.
He beat that DUI, Joey.
I know.
You got exonerated.
That's not a reason to root for this team.
But so did Mr. Toad. Didn't he also, on his wild ride, doesn't he also get exonerated because it's just a dream? All right.
Quoting Bill Hicks now.
Not in the...
All right, the Minnesota Timberwolves, Sean, do they have a notable UK player?
They do, Mr. Karl Anthony Towns.
All right, I'm gonna go first here. Do not become a Minnesota Timberwolves fan. This is gonna end badly. It always does. I know you think as a UK fan, you're like, oh, I want to root for Karl Anthony Towns. But if you become a Minnesota Timberwolves fan, you're just rooting for seeing Karl Anthony Towns be sad. But that's just my opinion.
It's already falling apart for them.
Yeah, it's
already falling apart this year.
That's just my opinion. KD, should our friend Silky Johnson become a Minnesota Timberwolves fan?
No, because they're so far up north that I don't know if their games are on late or if they're on some form of early that's also before, or I don't know. I don't know how latitude works. The owner's been around for a long time, like the whole time. He saved them from going to New Orleans back when that was a scary thing for teams, I suppose. And he's not going to go away. You can see him on the sidelines. He looks better put together than Jarrett Culver on most nights. So I don't know about, just expecting things.
He's never going to die. He's never going to die.
Yeah, his better half is there just slowly feeding things into him via syringe. It's if you get the high def thing with League Pass, these are the things you'll notice. However, you will become the smartest NBA fan of the world because of Jim Peterson calling their games.
Yeah, that's the one positive. Recommend.
But you can also just watch every other team and just have Jim Pete on it's a rough thing. I think Cat's still having fun. He's having fun on the sidelines when he was hurt than the last game, but maybe that's just because he didn't have to play for the Minnesota Timberwolves that night.
KT.
How is it that it's got more annoying as the show's gone along? It should be the other way around. Why did we start with Atlanta?
Katie, let's see. Is there a reason to root for the Minnesota Timberwolves?
No, like how the Bucks are serious and good, the Minnesota Timberwolves are serious and bad.
Yeah.
Still just so serious. The only reason to root for them would have been when they had the Prince City editions, and Jimmy Butler wearing them, and now that's dead and gone. So I just think stay away.
All right,
they do a lot of seemingly fun things with their team. Like they really went hard on that Halloween party and everything.
And they did have a nice group vacation all together, which gave me hope. But then they quickly died.
But on the court, it just doesn't extend. Mm-hmm. And I think, as much a player I just love, Jordan Bell, I just don't think he's ever going to put it together.
I think he just has to get off the
roster.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the New Orleans Pelicans. Sean, do they have a UK player?
They have Mr. Darius Miller.
Mm-hmm. Katie Heindl. Is there a reason to be a New Orleans Pelicans fan?
I feel like this is a team that's still in stasis or something.
Mm-hmm.
The everything was so anchored around Zion, and then it's just like everybody's just waiting of what's going to happen. When's he coming back? I did really want it to be Lonzo's free Lonzo year.
I know.
Remains to be seen. I don't know. I weirdly just don't like JJ Redick.
No, that's not weird. That's not weird at all.
Not weird.
No,
okay, good.
He's not he's unlikable.
He called me fake news on Twitter.
Ugh.
Okay, now I really don't like him. The only thing I will say, in the summer, Josh Hart got super addicted to is it beignets or beignets?
Beignets.
Beignets.
Yeah.
Oh, a little flourish. He
French.
got really into into them, and he was eating them all the time, and I loved that, and I thought it might be a taste of whimsical things to come, but no.
That just to me says Josh Hart's going to get fat.
No, he's still doing okay. I think they're just kind of like they're like a forgettable team this season. And you don't want to like step into being obsolete with your first pick of a team.
I do think if Alvin Gentry is the kind of coach you want to have in your first team, though, where he's just like fun and like everybody loves him. KD.
Oh, also the fucking King Cake Baby and the New Orleans
Possibly two of the top three most troubling NBA mascots, Joey.
Oh, 100%. Mavs Man is... Well, I mean, Mark Cuban is number one, then Mavs Man.
Then the Coyote, I guess.
The Mavs Man? I just thought of that. Maybe he's the Mavs
Man. All right.
I'm not a man's man. I'm a Mavs man.
Katie, the New Orleans Pelicans, is there a reason to hop on?
Well, Redick's going to be traded before the end of the year.
Yeah,
so there's
that is
that.
a positive.
I looked up a tweet where he called me fake. He deleted the tweet because he's JJ Redick. I covered when I was 20 years old. I covered the 2000 Nike All-America camp where he was a prospect there as a scout because they hired 20-year-old scouts back then. And I had the handbook that they give out, and I took a shot of his thing because it's JJ Redick's favorite NBA player was Vince Carter, who's a Tar Heel. So I whimsically tweeted that to him, and I just put JJ Redick from 2000. That's all I did, and then he immediately saw the Vince Carter thing and said, "No, that can't be a thing. That's fake news." And then he deleted that. Root for New Orleans. Root for New Orleans. They have a female owner and a GM that knows what he's doing. This will all seem like it's yesterday's fake news in a few months. This is what's going on in December of 2019 is nothing. Latch on to that New Orleans thing. Drive down there. Oh my gosh, spend some time in the city. My wife was just down there with her friends. It's a beautiful place. Go watch a basketball game. I did there about a year and a half ago, right before Blake Griffin was traded to Detroit. Go see a New Orleans game. It's dope.
All right. I like that.
I like that too. I do have a warning. They did load the fuck up on Duke players, so caveat emptor, UK fan.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it's an 11-hour and 10-minute drive, but you can go the southern route, and it's 11:41. But you,
All right. The New York Knicks. Sean, are there any UK players on the New York Knicks?
There's one UK player I love and one I'm not so high on. Julius Randle and Kevin Knox.
I'm going to say right off the bat, don't become a Knicks fan, but don't listen to me. Let's ask KD, is there a reason to be a Knicks fan?
Oh, well, here's the deal. This is a current episode. So remember, these aren't your old Knicks. They went out and they got the most heartening, friendly to the ears and eyes of basketball fans worldwide person they could get. They hired David Blatt recently to do
they did, yeah.
something. He's going to just David Blatt in that organization. I don't know what happened in his last job. I know he's had some health troubles. Hopefully he's better. But they hired David Blatt recently. So
I'm going to fly the team plane.
Don't become a Knicks. Well, then they needed to hire the guy from Iron Maiden to fly the plane. Don't become a Knicks fan. It's remember how you thought RJ Barrett was going to be terrible in the NBA? He's terrible, but he's also kind of good. So that's just going to serve to frustrate you. Mm-hmm. I'm talking to Silky here. And then the rest of the team is Nick. So no.
Katie, is there a reason to become a Knicks fan?
Blatt looks like a Russian oligarch down on his luck, doesn't he? I think. But no, there isn't. Except for the only reason I periodically check in on the Knicks is Wayne Ellington. And that's just to do my Wayne watch. But otherwise, no. And it's sad. I feel pretty sad for RJ Barrett being like the hope of the future. I also think the Knicks should back the fuck off Masai Ujiri, but that's different.
My number one reason for not becoming a Knicks fan, if I were a free agent, is there's just no way no matter what happens to you, you're never gonna be the most famous fan. You know what I mean? With some of these teams, if you just like accidentally become a meme where you like fell down going into a store, you could be the most famous fan. You know what I mean? But with the Knicks, that's not the case. You're never gonna be the most famous Knicks fan because Spike Lee
John
is
McEnroe
there.
has
And
that
John
title.
McEnroe, yeah. All right, the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Also, I just want to step in and say, there's absolutely no reason to become a New York Knicks fan if you weren't before and you don't live in New York. This would be the worst possible choice.
Yeah, like, all right, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Sean, do they have any UK players?
They do. They've got 3. They have Hamidou Diallo, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and media food enthusiast Nerlens Noel.
Nerlens Noel, the only player I know that ate a hot dog at halftime. Katie, is there a reason to become an Oklahoma City Thunder fan?
You know, if we were talking about this like back in October, I would have said no. But this team has quickly grown on me, feelings-wise. A lot of it had to do with what I saw last night. Chris Paul buying the entire team custom-tailored suits.
I knew you were going to love that. I knew you were going to love that.
I think it's the first time Steven Adams has ever worn a suit.
He actually rarely wears pants.
Yeah,
sweatpants, actually.
I saw that. Well, he rarely wears pants. He says he doesn't like wearing pants, and he likes to wear things that are free. So... So that's why I feel like...
And we're a kilt.
Yeah.
Like my roommate Dave in Chicago. He wore a kilt when he got married. You think I'm joking?
I know you're not joking.
And Shai is a sweet boy from Toronto. I think like I like Chris Paul more on this.
No, you can't say that. You can't say that, Katie.
And it's crazy. It feels crazy to say it. It feels like a departure from myself. But there's something about him being like stuck in Oklahoma City that makes me like him more.
Katie, I am with you. Like, for some reason, him being an underdog makes all of his near cheating a lot more endearing instead of like overdog Chris Paul is obnoxious, but like him on kind of a bad team that he's like holding together through trickery, that I'm like way more into.
No one has the end. I'm sorry. I'm great at interrupting women all the time.
No, go ahead, Kelly.
League Pass, no one has the energy to root against League Pass Chris Paul when he's the only game on a Thursday night in TNT, and that's all you got to sit through for 2.5 hours. It's wearying, but then it's like, he did that with a free throw. I'll put a 10 on that circus. That's great. You know, because we're not watching who's watching the Thunder?
Fair
Katie,
point.
because of Chris Paul.
No, that's a good, no, I don't watch the Thunder. So I guess I can say no. If we're going to get down to it now, because I feel like we've got a lot of strong contenders, so we can start whittling away the weaker ones. Mm-hmm. You could like maybe watch this team sometimes if you want to. This is like, yeah, you don't have to go all in on OKC.
I also think that this fan base is really excited to basically root for a college team. And I would say maybe you want to dive as an existing college basketball fan, you want to go away from that. But like OKC fans talking about like, well, look, our next contender is 5 years away. That's troubling.
All right, the Orlando Magic. Let's start with Mr. Dwyer. KD. Why would you root for the Orlando Magic in 2019?
We're not. Why did we let Shai Gilgeous-Alexander get away from that conversation? That's on me. If you're a Kentucky fan and you have a reason to follow Shai anywhere, you follow him. I don't care if it's to Orlando. I don't care if it's to Oklahoma City. You follow him. So I know we have a lot of contenders, as Katie said, but boy, that's let's double down on that. Orlando, no, there's no fair there. There's just a $40 cab ride into a city that didn't exist, and you ask to go, you swallow your pride and go. I don't know, to a hipster bar, you tell the cab driver, because no one's ever going to hear or know that you said this out loud. And then he drops you off in that area. And it's just not the same. And then you get back in a cab and you go back to the hotel and you wait for Game 5 of the NBA Finals, which will never happen again in Orlando. It's going to take – I like the organization. I like the people running it. It's just they are the good feelings, good vibe team. And I'd rather leave that to Katie. The rest of it is rough to watch. Rough to watch. Rough to watch.
I forgot to ask Sean Keane, are there any University of Kentucky players on the Orlando Magic?
No, there's not. But I do believe that sort of like the general shadiness of the Kentucky recruiting program, the spirit is there in the DeVos family, Amway, Blackwater, privatizing the Department of Education. Like it is a grift of a franchise in a grift of a city.
All right, Katie Heindl, is there a feelings reason to root for the Orlando Magic?
No, and all I'll say is that for someone who lives in the swamp, Aaron Gordon takes himself way too fucking seriously.
All right, the Philadelphia 76ers. Sean, is there a University of Kentucky player on the Sixers?
No, there's not.
Weird. I would have thought there was. Katie Heindl, feelings reasons to root for the Sixers.
Yeah, I like the Sixers. I know I'm not supposed to, but they got Mike Scott. They have who won Summer Vacation Watch MVP.
Mm-hmm.
They have the second best Kyle around, Kyle O'Quinn. And I don't know, they're like fun to watch. I kind of don't mind that they're like slip sliding a little right now. Ben Simmons is still annoying as ever. But like, I kind of like, if you want to like look at someone who's like a feelings reason to like a team, it's just Joel Embiid as a person, because he's at once every feeling you could ever have simultaneously happening, which is too much to bear. And at the same time, like extremely hard to look away from. And they got a pretty good shot, so there you go.
Yeah, Kelly Dwyer, basketball reasons.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, all that, and he hits his free throws. Like he genuinely goes through that range of emotions on his face, wipes his brow, walks to the line, everything Katie's talking about in real time, and you can see it on TNT every Thursday, and then knocks down 80% at the line. He's fabulous. However, they are run by a Dookie, a prominent Dookie. And I don't know if our friend Silky would have a good time getting over whatever damage Elton Brand did to his team. I'm assuming it was prominent in around the fin de siècle. So I don't know if Dr. Johnson can get past that. However, they are a fun workaday team, and I hope Kyle O'Quinn gets over whatever problems he has with his Dookie general manager and those weird Instagram stories that he's sending out. A fair grab on, but he'd have to swallow a lot, our friend Silky.
All right, the Phoenix Suns. Sean, any University of Kentucky players on the Suns?
Joey's second favorite UK alum, Devin Booker.
Oh, Devin Booker? I'm out.
Let me also mention that this team previously under Ryan McDonough, that's his name, right?
Yeah.
Was just obsessed with the University of Kentucky. At one point, they had Archie Goodwin, they had Brandon Knight, they had Booker, they had another. They were just accumulating so many Kentucky players, and now they're down to one. So it was weird. There was an era where Jason Kidd only wanted guys from Syracuse, and Jeff Hornacek only wanted Kentucky players, apparently.
Katie Heindl, is there a reason to root for the Phoenix Suns?
Is Tyler Johnson Amish or Australian? I can't tell.
He's neither. He's from the San Francisco Bay Area.
He's a DJ. He's just a DJ.
And that's the kind of trickery the Suns will befall upon you. So I think you should really go all in on this team. It's a bit chaotic, a lot chaotic. Devin Booker never isn't even Benjamin Buttoning. He's just like is like a weird child vampire. Kelly Oubre Jr. too sensual for this world. Aaron Baines sucks to me and is Australian. No, I only kind of like Ricky Rubio.
I was gonna say you're forgetting one of the most feelings players in the NBA, Ricky Rubio.
Not forgetting him, just saving him for last because he's kind of like the soul saving grace of this team for me. But no, I mean the Suns gorilla is like a mess, and it's kind of like perfect, weird, like sexual, asexual, like implosion representation of this team. Don't stay away from the Suns. They're like when a sun collapses in onto itself. That's what's happening with the team.
Katie on hoops. You're up. Is there a reason to root for the Suns?
There is. They'll hurt you in ways that you didn't know you could hurt in before, for links that you did not know existed. It's an unanticipated pain, and I see that our friend Kelly Oubre is doing well among them, but as a fan and a follower, no, I could not suggest this to you.
All right, Sean, the Portland Trailblazers. Is there a UK guy on the Blaze crew?
Scal Labissiere. I was going to say some things about him, and then I was like, you know what?
Yeah,
it's fine.
Scal Labissiere, disappointing in both college and the NBA. Kelly Dwyer, is there a reason to become a Portland Trailblazers fan?
Really impenetrable fan base. I would really worry about. You got to watch what you say around them. It's a lot of wiseacres up there, a lot of smart heads, a lot of It's like if you don't like me, I don't know anything about Guided by Voices except they put out 432 albums. So I don't really know how to get in and where all the in jokes are, where to stop. With you don't like keeping up with old Raymond Felton jokes is one thing, but there's a depth and a history to when Mark Bryant starts popping in out of nowhere. So it's a lot to get into, and now they have Carmelo. So I mean, if you're on a new medication, if you're maybe on a fast and you're seeing things, if you're, just maybe doing the lemon and cayenne thing, if you're in a weird spot and you just want to have if your existence really only works from like 10:30 to 1:30 local your time, yeah, man, give it a shot. I mean, we all got to go through this stuff. There's a lot of hills in Kentucky, a lot of, sort of, Joshua Tree adjacent sort of things, if you can imagine it the right way. So yeah, I can understand Portland. It's a trip. So I would say try
it. Katie, basketball feelings reasons to become a Portland Trailblazer fan.
I think there's only feelings reasons to get into this team, which is why I think I'm still like waiting for something to happen, like waiting for them to be how I thought they would be at the beginning of the season, which is like consistently good and very fun to watch. But I mean, you've got like all these kind of transplanty guys that absolutely love living in Portland. Like Kent Bazemore's always out in the woods where he lives, just like taking photos and like in awe of nature. We know what Hassan Whiteside did this summer at the Japanese garden with the koi fish. I like Damian Lillard a lot. CJ McCollum is like the most boring but like nicest man in basketball. Looking, I don't know. But this is just the feelings vibe. And then on top of all that, they get Melo. So like, the Melo revival to me, I love that. I love what he's bringing to the team. I love what he's wearing in the tunnel. I think, I don't know what's going to happen. But if you want, if you want a wild ride, or if you just like want wild feelings to overcome you could get into the Blazers.
Sean, the Sacramento King. Go ahead.
Let me step in with one thing. I just want to say the reason not to follow the Portland Trailblazers is that you might have to. You eventually will end up listening to Damian Lillard rapping and
pretending it's good.
Yeah, I mean, there's literally 10,000 people you should be listening to rapping before.
Like Silky doesn't have both of Walter McCarty's CDs in his living room right now. Come on, he's ready. He's ready.
I do somehow have 2 copies of Chris Webber's debut album.
Yeah. All right.
But he did write a Nas song though. Okay, yeah.
The Sacramento Kings. Do they have any UK players?
They have De'Aaron Fox, very exciting, and then a guy I did not realize was an NBA player, Wenyen Gabriel.
All right, KD. Is there a reason to become a Kings fan?
They've been better recently, in spite of it all. Marvin Bagley is not the fella that you remember from Duke. He's for some reason it's working. I'm sounding like a Kings fan and talking myself into it. They have a guy that wears number 88 because he was born in 1988.
Mm-hmm.
There are dozens of NBA players born in 1988. None of them wore 88 that I can remember off the top of my head, nor any 89s or 90s or 87s. So it's sort of a it's a capital city trip. It's not a Los Angeles, San Francisco thing. But again, 10:30 at night to see De'Aaron Fox depends on how old Silky is. If he's still calling himself Silky, I think he's that guy. That kind of lifestyle is working for him. So I'd put it on the plus side.
Yeah, I kind of like this one for Silky. You get Bogdanovich, who's fun. You get Buddy Hield, who's
get Bogdan for like another month though.
I think they're gonna sign him. You get Harrison Barnes, which comes
Very
with pluses and negatives.
He comes with a house. Oh, by the way, this place is a super old radiator.
Yeah. It's
Just
a very
goes on at odd
consistent.
times.
It's a very consistent radiator, but it's not that. It doesn't get too hot or too cold. It's like the perfect. It's like the radiator replacement player, basically. Katie Heindl, is there a feelings reason to become a Sacramento Kings fan?
Yeah, the Kings used to be like my Nets of the West. And I'm a big Buddy Hield fan. Mm-hmm. And he's a very fun. This can be like a very fun team to watch. Mm-hmm. There's like an extremely high energy on this team. But as of late, for me, as of this season, I can't really abide by a team that's got Luke Walton coaching them.
That is the white assaulter in the room. The San Antonio Spurs, Sean, do they have any UK players?
They have two. They have Keldon Johnson and they have Trey Lyles.
So they have like half. All right, Katie Heindl, is there a feelings reason to become a Spurs fan?
This feels almost like too much of an investment for Silky.
I agree, but keep going.
It's like, it's like the system. So you can't, it's not like, oh, I'm going to just get into this team for the rest of this season and like see how I feel about them. And if I don't like them, then at least I can turn around and like another team, because I don't think you can legally when you decided that you're a Spurs fan. Like, I think you're in there for the rest of your life. So you really have to think about that commitment. It's not just like dipping your toes in. Mm-hmm. The most fun thing about this team, aside from the grocery store commercials that they do together, mm-hmm. which is kind of deceptive for like how fun they are, because it doesn't translate to the court really. Right. Anyway, is Lonnie Walker.
Lonnie Walker, very fun. Thumbs up to Lonnie Walker.
So much fun. Love to watch him. Otherwise, he's really like the buoyance of the Spurs. So I don't know. It's a life sentence, I think. Spurs
yeah,
fan.
you're getting in. Mm-hmm. Kelly Dwyer, is there a reason to become a Spurs fan?
You're choosing the wrong lifetime. No, like all those. How many Dirty Harrys did they make? How many? What was the Charles Bronson vehicle? Death Edge or
Death
whatever.
Wish. Yeah.
Death Wish.
Death Wish.
How many? Like all those started out with some integrity somewhere. They genuinely did. I'm not a movie buff, but I know there's some smarts and heart that you got to dig out in between all the awful stuff that's obvious now. But now we're in like the fourth and fifth of them stage, and it's 1991, and no one knows why Charles Bronson is running over the top of a car hood.
Yeah.
So this is a dangerous time to dip into this catalog.
Yeah,
Do you know who did the Death Wish 3 soundtrack, KD?
Jimmy Page.
Didn't he? I think he also did 2.
I think it's just 3, actually.
That cassette tape is available in so many malls in 1991 where it's just like, man, I love Zeppelin, but $4.99 worth of a tape? That and Outrider by Jimmy Page.
All right. Sean, do the Toronto Raptors have any University of Kentucky players?
They do not.
Weird. Let's start with Mr. Dwyer. Basketball reasons to become a Toronto Raptor fan.
Oh, they're a marvelous watch. They're unending. They've had a bit of a swoon recently, but they're just they're very Miami Heat-like. Mm-hmm. That's my Tim Reed, inadvertent Tim Reed impersonation. Miami Heat-like in their approach to moving the ball and sending guys up and down the baseline. And once Rondae gets his mojo back in the new year, I think they're heaps of fun. I don't see anything wrong with jumping on a story after a story like last year's, because the journey is ongoing.
Me too.
So if you want some fun and you want some really interesting leadership that you can get excited about, even when it might fall flat on its face, dive in with Toronto. Plus the game start at the same time.
All right, Katie Heindl, this is your team. Why sell Silky Johnson on becoming a Toronto Raptors fan?
Look, obviously I'm extremely biased, and the one drawback I will say, and I was thinking of this as we knowingly will get to the Raptors, but would it, if he got into them, would it be the kind of thing where his friends would be like, "You're just trying to be cool and weird by liking like the Canadian team. You're trying to be too international." That is something I wonder if it's like a drawback for American fans, like getting into the Raptors. I don't know if you think that way, but if you don't think that way, there's just like never-ending storylines. There's like never-ending reasons to like almost like every dude on this team. You've got like undrafted dudes like Fred VanVleet who just like came up, who like refused to like go second round and then was like, "No, I'll make my own way." And
would you say he bet on himself?
I would say. I would say that, yes. Another great point, the feeling that every single player on this roster almost has their own brand. So they're all extremely like self-starting individuals. Kyle Lowry is still like the most fun player I think there is to watch. Like I know he's like slowing down a little bit, but there's like real like there's no shortage to what he can't do. Heart of a champion. Marc Gasol is just always stumbling around out there. Love to see it. OG is so funny and weird. I don't know. Like you can maybe call me and then we could talk. We could go one-on-one on the roster. Otherwise this will take too long. But like, if you just want to watch a team that really doesn't give a shit about the fact that not many other people are watching them, at least I think in like the American broadcast sense, and you just want to like go all in on a team that just like loves to play basketball, then the Raptors are for you.
Katie, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
How often does Go On perform the national anthem? Am I pronouncing his name right?
No, you're not. Gowan, I think is who you mean to say.
Oh, Gowan, yes.
I don't, to my knowledge, Gowan's never performed the anthem, but once Thrust did perform the halftime show.
All right. Well,
I don't think it's not a hindrance to get into Canadian team, is it?
No, I don't think so.
This is going to sound dismissive, but we just we're so full of ourselves down here that all we see when we see Canada is we see the stuff that we relate to and that reminds us of ourselves, and we don't actually focus back on the stuff about ourselves that makes our country so terribly freaky different to the one above us when they look at us and go, "Yeah, I see some stuff that they do that's like us, but what about all this other stuff?" We don't do that. We're just like, "Yeah, it's a team from Toronto. It's somewhere up there. It's cool uniforms all the time. Yeah, go for it."
That's good to hear. But I also don't think that way about Americans in general at all. I don't think you're very exotic people.
Oh, I wouldn't say exotic. Something sub exotic.
Okay.
Kentucky-ish.
Okay.
All right.
And I almost forgot the most fun player, kind of them all, Pascal Siakam.
Yeah, he's very fun. I don't know if I'd call him the most fun player of them all, but
spins like that? Come on.
All right, the Utah.
He's unique. There is not a
Yes.
scoring. So there's a paucity of those old school scoring small forwards, the James Worthies and this '80s thing. So if someone ever wonders why Alex English is like fifth in scoring, this is your hip to the trip. Why?
All right, Sean, the Utah Jazz. Do they have any UK players?
They have none.
All right, Kelly Dwyer. Is there any reason to become a Utah Jazz fan?
They've got a college coach that was little too hot under the collar for Columbia. And if you like these fellas getting told how this third quarter was supposed to go, this might be the club for you. So I wouldn't mind it if you got a guy like Donovan.
KD, you there? What just happened?
I don't think he was respecting the Jazz enough.
I feel like his headphones fell out.
Maybe Rudy Gobert was blocking that take.
Kelly, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh,
I'm going to say for the Utah Jazz, though, just like teenage suicide, don't do it. Right?
Oh my god.
Listen to that terrible Queen song from their very famous album, The Game. Don't try suicide.
Kelly, you dropped out there mid-sentence.
I realized that Donovan Mitchell's from Louisville, so that's a no.
All right.
Oh, good. Yeah. All right.
Katie Heindl, the Utah Jazz. Is there a reason?
No, much like someone getting into jazz, like late in the game, you got a lot to learn. And do you want to? I don't know.
All right.
I take offense to that. I don't think there's much to learn. Half the album is standards and the other half is blues. That's basically it. Then you get to the 70s, everyone wears glasses and it gets electric. There's not a lot to learn.
It's about the shots they're not taking, Katie.
No. Because sometimes the jazz, it's like classic jazz, free jazz. Nobody wants a part of that. So
Acid jazz.
Yeah,
you got your third stream. You got your I get it. It's just let's not go with a wide scope here just because Woody Allen plays it.
All right, and our final team, the Washington Wizards. Sean, is there a University of Kentucky player on the Washington Wizards?
Mr. John Wall, so sort of.
Is he on the Wizards though? Yeah. All right.
Well, look, he's a real joker, right?
Katie Heindl, is there a reason to become a Washington Wizards fan?
not now, no. But I always do want the best for the Jazz, specifically John Wall, Bradley Beal.
Yeah.
The Wizards. I'm still see, this happens when you get into jazz. You just get lost in it. Rui Hachimura, gives me a lot of great feelings. Mm-hmm. But no, as a team, I think you can leave behind Silky.
Yeah. Kelly Dwyer, is there a reason to become a Wizards fan?
No.
I'm going to say there's only one reason to become a Wizards fan, and that's if Ted Leonsis finally reunites Fugazi. Then you can become a Wizards fan. Any other time, no. All right.
Yeah, because that's what Fugazi's been waiting for, is just that big check this whole time. That's been the only hindrance in this whole thing, is just waiting for that big payday.
If they're just willing to lower ticket prices to $5.
All right. Let's go around and give our final answers. Sean, who should Silky Johnson root for, you think?
My God, I gotta say, I'm gonna give him two alternatives.
Nope, pick one. You got to pick one.
Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah,
but if you want a big team, pick the Miami Heat.
Kelly Dwyer, who should Silky Johnson root for?
This is a cop-out, so I will commit to the Oklahoma City Thunder to be technical, but I think he should follow Shea wherever he goes.
Ooh, I like that too.
But it's a cop-out.
Katie Heindl, who should Silky Johnson root for?
Just one, eh?
Yeah.
You
We
can
gave
do one
him a
B.
lot. We gave him a lot.
We did give him a lot, but final answer, who do you think you should root for? After we talked it out. The Clippers?
The Clippers. Just do it. Just let yourself have an easy first NBA season and have fun.
And then as for me, I'm also saying the Miami Heat. Give me Tyler Hero, baby. If you've already rooted for him in college and you get to follow him to coked out Miami, you gotta do it. The swag champ in Miami.
Bam really is fun to like.
Yes.
I watching him last night. It's just like so fun. Like the defense, the athleticism, the weird dribbling from the center position. Love it. Good passing. Great. Just great.
All right. Kelly Dwyer, please tell our listeners where they can find you these days.
If you go to my Twitter website, which I don't like, at KD on Hoops, you can see my various links to my newsletter called The Second Arrangement, where I make hilarious goofs about NBA stuff all the time.
Subscribe to The Second Arrangement. It's really great. I love reading it every day and listening to the podcast that also comes with it. Katie Heindl, please plug where our listeners can find you.
You can also find me on Twitter, posting links to everything I'm writing, and you can subscribe to You Basketball Feelings, which is also on Substack.
Where can they follow you on Twitter? Katie, you didn't say your handle.
They should know by now. Anyway, it's at Whatevs, which is spelled appropriately WTEVS.
Perfect. Sean, is there anything you would like to plug?
If you're in San Francisco, come to those New Year's shows at Cobb's Comedy Club, December 29th through 31st with Caitlin Gill, Chris Garcia, Louis Katz, Kevin Avery, and so many more. Oh, our friend Brendan Lynch is on the shows, too.
Oh,
our resident
fun.
Conspiracy expert. Yeah.
That's love.
I'm going to learn a lot.
Brendan Lynch. All right, and then as for me, you can always follow me on Twitter at Frankie Muniz, where on December 17th, I tweeted a link to my olive oil store at outrageousoliveoil.com and said, I have to say, I'm blown away by the incredible amount of orders of our olive oil this holiday season. Paige and I work insanely hard, and it's the greatest gift ever to get to ship our bottles all over the country. Sean, I assume you wrote a song that's playing under us right now, correct?
Yeah.
All right.
Is. It's a personal request from one of our guests today.
Okay. Trust the process.
Trust the process.
And shut it down. Let's all have a happy new year.
Yeah, 1, 2, princes stand before you. 2 swingmen, yeah, princes can defend from 4 to 2. Not scoring threats, yeah. Tayshaun has a ring from the Pistons. He beat Shaq, yeah. Torians, the shooting guard is not efficient. Hawks standing packing. Ooh, yeah. A doobie-doo. It's the early 90s, so white people scat singing isn't problematic yet. Tayshaun played for the Memphis Grizzlies. Grit and grind, yeah. Traded for Jeff Green along with Quincy. Chris Wallace is blind, yeah. You trade for Jeff, he's gonna disappoint you on every team, yeah. But Pondexter, he's got a ruptured joint, dude. Needs steroid cream, yeah. They don't score, just 3 and D. Torrents buying Bitcoins from Dinwiddie. They can't really dribble inside the key. That's why the greatest princess named Epiphany, female 2-time also named Epiphany, said, if you're blocking Reggie Miller, get Tayshaun Prince now. But if you need some salary filler, get Torian Prince now. And if you want to shut down Kobe, get Tayshaun Prince now. And if you're worried that Kyrie's lonely, get Torian Prince now. Ladies and gentlemen, the guitar stylings of Serbian gangster Darko Milicic. Ow! You'd think his ears are bleeding just from that botched piercing. Nuh-uh. He's bleeding because he rocked so hard his ears started bleeding. He can't get off the bench for a game, but he always gets off the bench when it's time to rock. Said 1-2, Prince is in league history. That's what I said now. Torian's future is a mystery. Like at Lexi's Fed, yeah. Tayshaun banked $81 million. Ain't no problem, but Josiah is worth $11 billion. That's Alibaba. Torian improved himself, was the greatest six-man in the whole Big 12. Kyrie's gonna lecture him about chemtrails, but Torian's the foggy if the season fails. When Durant comes back, it'll be happy trails. Said if you want a guy who's skinny, get Tayshaun Prince now. And if you aren't that into winning, get Torian Prince now. And if you like a giant forehead, get Torian Prince now. And if you want a guy from Moorhead, that's Kenneth Fareed, man. And if you want a guy from Baylor, get Torian Prince now. And if you want tattoos like a sailor, get Torian Prince now. And if you're ditching Rudy Gay's deal, get Tayshaun Prince now. And if you think he needs a hot meal, feed Tayshaun Prince now. If you miss Damari Carroll, get Torian Prince now. If you want to trim your payroll, trade Torian Prince now. If you really miss Flip Saunders, get Tayshaun Prince now. And if you like bad rebounders, get either Prince now. Whoa, Sean Marks, get Torian Prince now. Whoa, just attach a pick now. Oh, there's no amnesty. This extension puts you in cap purgatory. Go on, hey Sean, not Tayshaun, get Torian now. Yeah. Get Torian now. If you wanna buy him Bitcoin, just go ahead now. Yeah, get Torian.